At last, I've learned how to be a teacher trainer, how to fetch water, how to light a kerosene stove. I've forgotten how to have fun. I travel into Rwanda's capital, Kigali, feeling hopeful. My housemate Anne and my friend Jasbir walk with me from our tiny guest house to our manager's spacious bungalow. We glimpse a group of Mzungus dressed in black ahead of us. The muffled clinking of beer bottles wrapped in plastic bags echoes down the hill. One man turns to face his friends. I can just make out his white face and the fluorescent green bones attached to his shirt and his trousers. I feel a hideous, creeping guilt. We're going to a party full of people who've cheerfully walked Kigali's streets dressed as the undead, oblivious to Rwanda's history. Prince Harry's fancy dress escapades in Nazi uniform look like better taste than this. Aha! Either those skeletons are lost or we're going the right way, says Anne, puffing hard. Thank God, these shoes are giving me jip. Jasbir nudges me and I grin. Anne has procured several yards of blue cheesecloth fabric from our local market and metamorphosised into Dorothy. Sundown brings a chill and she has her smart jacket on. Jasbir and I are wearing white shirts and black skirts. I carry our witches' hats, wands and homemade Hogwarts badges. We're waitresses feeling the chill of an equatorial night. Anne is power dressing. Our ruby and black shoes tap along Kigali's paved suburbs as the red sun disappears. The houses are large, with driveways behind high walls and locked gates. We pass the private school that the President's son attends. There are more lights here than back home in Chibungu, lanterns hanging outside the houses. I find I can see to walk without my torch. The pavements are largely unpotholed. This is four-wheel drive territory, where the career NGO workers bring up their children. The peace of the evening settles on the houses like an undeserved blessing. The green bones take a left then a right. We hear banging on a corrugated iron gate and follow. Rachel opens up and invites us to climb through, then waddles back towards her house. Dressed unconvincingly as a cat, her strappy black top does not adequately cover her breasts. She's attached a fluffy white tail to old grey combat trousers. Smudged whiskers give her a teary expression, and one of the cat ears on her headband is drooping at the corner. She leads us through the large house across the glowing garden to the makeshift bar. There are several pumpkin carvings atop the wall with candles grinning inside. Complex string arrangements attach painted jam jars to the orange trees. The garden is full of witches and wizards, ghouls and ghosts, cats and cannibals. A marker pen version of Munches the Scream is chatting away to Dracula. The chief executive of our own charity, Miles Littlewood, is dressed as Edward Scissorhands. It's the first time I've seen him at an event without his wife and children in tow. One hand outstretched, he leans against an orange tree, chatting to Batman, who I recognise from the British High Commission. I think I remember that Batman is gay, and sure enough, Robin appears, drapes his left arm around Batman's shoulders, and joins the conversation. Speakers have been precariously rigged up in a tree, the wiring running back into the house. Several vampires and zombies are dancing to Everybody by the Backstreet Boys. They're following a sequence of steps, all attempts at irony useless because they've clearly practiced these moves before the party. I spot Libby in the centre of the formation. She's wearing leggings, a black leotard and heeled sandals. Her cat's ears are perked up jauntily, and she's twirling a furry tail around with her right hand. Good grief, I'm surprised she resisted dressing as a bunny rabbit, says Anne in my ear. I giggle as we pick our way across the garden after Rachel. Marianne stumbles towards us, wrapped in a white sheet, holding her glass in an outstretched hand. Woo! She wails in a scarily voice. She wails as a scarily ghost, her voice rising a little whenever she takes a step. She holds her glass out to the barman and drops a few coins into the nearby pint glass. He rolls his eyes and pours her a generous tot of Warragy, the local gin. It's probably 60% proof. Woohoo! Moans Marianne again, sipping her gin. Do you need some water? I ask her hopefully. I'm fine with this. She jiggles her glass. Need to sit though. Sit somewhere. That step's free. Jasbir points to the entrance to the house. Marianne staggers off and sits down heavily on the back porch. Jasbir sings along with me. I finish my second gin and we twirl each other around, laughing. More people join in the dancing. Our friends arrive wearing rice sacks showing a human heart and the main muscles of the body. A science lesson that had got lost. I realised we looked like the poor relations at our party, with local resources and homemade fabric. Tom appears and kisses all the women on both cheeks, which annoys me. He takes my hand and pulls me across the garden. We sit on the house steps and his hand rests on my knee. He tells me about his fundraising success for a women's cooperative. It's obvious how much he enjoys his role as the money spinner. You seem to be a fairly persuasive young man, I tell him. So I've been told, he smirks at me. Ella, Tom leans towards me and tilts my chin with his fingers. We spring apart at the sudden crash and shriek to the right of us. Glass shatters and there's a heavy thud. Marianne has fallen off the porch and landed in the mud below. She's tangled up in her grubby ghost sheet. I help her to the bathroom. We weave our way past several guests embroiled in a game of Twister and walk down a dark corridor. Marianne pushes past me unsteadily and shuts the door. I stand in the unlit corridor. I open one of the doors and see a pile of cardigans and costumes thrown on the double bed. There are a few ornaments and no pictures. It's Rachel's spare room. I hear a giggle from the other room and slowly push open the door. On the floor there are black-heeled sandals, a headband with jaunty cat ears and 2 pairs of scissor hands. I try to pull the door back, but this time it makes a scraping noise. I hear footsteps, so I slip into the spare room and hide behind the door, flattening myself against the wall. "Who's there?" This is the voice of Miles Littlewood.